After your narrow escape from the volcano, you mull over what you learned at the summit. The truth about the dragon and the medicine, what the Ivory Order and Sherwin are actually after, and Vince's dying warning about Dragon Tear destroying the world. You decide to return to the village of the sick to try and make sense of everything. "I'm exhausted," says Riddis. "She certainly looks it." Bruno is silent and looks deep in thought. As you head into the village after your friends, another headache splits your skull. This place. Something about it is triggering a memory that feels like it's trying to claw its way out of your brain. "Let's rest up at the inn," suggests Melanie, taking in everyone's state. "You must fancy yourself quite the eccentric coming here," the innkeeper drones, as if incensed by your very presence. "Stay if you want to stay," the innkeeper continues, utterly disinterested in even attempting to sell you on a room. At dinner time, you and your friends gather round the table. For a while it's quiet, but then Melanie speaks up. Now that the dragon's been defeated, she says, "what are we going to do?" "We go back to the castle and claim the reward for slaying him," you respond. "Didn't slay him," says Melanie, narrowing her eyes. "The Ivory Order did." In truth, the Ivory Order wanted to capture the dragon alive, but Sherwin killed him. You can't help feeling the Ivory Order is still hiding something about this island, the dragon and the medicine. "We might want to look into this island a bit more," suggests Melanie. Bruno agrees with you. They call this place Mount Medica. Something tells me there are still secrets to uncover. Whether you go after the Ivory Order or investigate the island, first and foremost, you need information. The Overseer should be pretty knowledgeable about the island, reasons Melanie. You decide to pay a visit to the Overseer after a good night's rest. Selfor, the village headman come overseer, comes out to welcome you. After detailing what happened atop the volcano, you ask him to tell you everything he knows about this island. "So, the dragon's tears are the medicine's main ingredient," he muses. You ask Selfor if the medicine is made on this island. After a moment, he begins speaking in a quiet voice. He tells you about the medicine factory here on the island that the Ivory Order oversees. and that this village was founded in order to provide a steady supply of human test subjects for their new medicine. Now that you know the truth about the island and the village, you turn to Cell 4 and pose further questions. Probing further, you ask, and the Ivory Order forced the dragon to make medicine at that factory? I'm almost positive they did, he replies. That explains why the Order wanted to capture him, says Bruno, understanding dawning on his face. But if that's the case, why did Sherwin flout the Order and kill the dragon? You're still missing the final piece of this puzzle. What do you mean, testing new medicine, you ask? Cell 4 explains that before the Ivory Order sends any of its medicines out to the greater world, they test them here first. With all the new medicines they're constantly prescribed, the villagers here suffer strange side effects. All except Cell 4, who says he's exempt from the tests on account of being in charge of the village on the Order's behalf. Sometimes we get people who try to escape, he says, his gaze dropping. The Order always catches them. This is horrible, says Melanie, a harrowed look on her face. You know the abandoned house at the western edge of the village? Well, once upon a time, a family of 4 lived there. As Cell 4 speaks, you feel all the blood drain from your body. There's something I'd like to see for myself at that house, you say, your brow creased. At the uncharacteristically somber look on your face, Melanie, Riddis, and Bruno give silent nods. You stand before the dilapidated house. It looks like no one's lived here for a long, long time. You open the door and go inside, your gaze roving across the dusty space. Your eyes land on a progression of horizontal notches on the lower section of a support beam, markings to measure a child's growth. And carved into the beam beside the markings are your and Mars' names. Seeing your names unleashes a flood of memories you hadn't realized you'd kept locked away. The trauma of what happened, combined with the effects of the medicine, spurred the loss of your memories. But now you remember the horror in full detail. Sobbing, you gather Mar in your arms. Melanie, Riddis, and Bruno just stand there in silence, absorbing the truth of your origins. Melanie, who knows all too well the pain of losing your parents, turns to you with tears on her cheeks. We have a lot in common, you and I. That's how we've made it this far together, she says softly. Moved by her kindness, you give her a silent nod. But I've still got farther to go, you say, scrubbing your face dry. As painful as those memories are, something the Ivory Order disciples said gave you hope. If you can get your hands on an undiluted solution of dragon tear, you can restore Mar to her human form. And what was that about the place they called the mausoleum? That's probably a good enough place as any to start looking for dragon tear. Melanie doesn't miss the determination that blooms on your face. Whatever it is you need to do, she says, I'm with you. You ask Selfor if he's ever heard of a place called the Mausoleum. He tells you the steep cliffs north of the village block the way. To get to the Mausoleum, you'll have to go around. He advises you to first go east and then head north from the wharf. The wharf, that's where we first docked, right? Clarifies Bruno. The path to the mausoleum is a long one. If you start feeling weary on your journey, use the jump feature to return to the village. Won't be able to. You were surprised to find a merchant selling goods in a place like this. There is nothing you need to buy, so you pass by without paying it any mind. A giant boulder impedes the path. You stop, unable to go any farther. But when you turn around, who do you see but the Ivory Ordered trio? In a flash, you draw your weapons, but Hedwig calls out, "Wait." Unlike the other times you've crossed paths, the trio doesn't seem keen on fighting you. You lower your weapons in response, Conveniently, you've got some questions for them anyway. You demand to know if what Sel foretold you about this island and the village of the sick is true. There's no reason to hide it any longer, begins Edwin. He tells you of the immense fortune the Order amassed by selling the medicine they forced the dragon to make on this island. And he confirms recapturing the dragon was the Order's true goal. The dragon's imprisonment on this island was a secret only the upper echelons of the Order were privy to. Even Queen Nilla didn't know. You ask where Sherwin disappeared to after he killed the dragon atop the volcano. We too seek Sherwin, says Winifred. Atop the volcano, Sherwin swore to destroy that place. Edwin says he was talking about the mausoleum. Winifred ponders the question of why Sherwin would betray the Order and kill the dragon. Alas, we cannot get to the mausoleum with this in our way, Edwin says, gesturing to the giant boulder. Upon closer examination of the boulder, you see fissures spidering along its surface. Perhaps it was weakened by the earthquake caused by the volcano erupting. With the right approach, you might be able to force your way through after all. You ask Bruno to put his brawn to use and smash the boulder to smithereens. He squares off in front of the giant stone and strikes the fissure with a mighty knife-edged chop. Silence rings for a moment before the boulder crumbles to dust. The Ivory Order trio offers a curt thanks before hurrying on ahead. The jerks. An old man totters along in front of you. With an eerie smile, he pauses and whispers, "Another eye of the dragon opens." Suddenly, the ground begins to quake so hard, you are nearly knocked off your feet. It stops as quickly as it came, and you let out a sigh of relief. The old man continues on his way, repeating to himself, "The eye has opened." Come across two men sitting. You hastily grab a scrap of paper, write down what you've heard, and quietly sneak away. You catch sight of figures you are pretty sure are Ivory Order disciples, standing at the door to the mausoleum. "Let us through," you say, but something isn't right. "Trespassers will be disposed of, on orders of Master Sherwin." "Kill," they murmur dispassionately, and then attack. Let's do this. Nice work. It seems the Ivory Order disciples have come back to themselves. Their faces are blank. Apparently, they don't recall anything after Sherwin ordered them to guard the door. Could he have hypnotized them? The Ivory Order disciples are gone. You shall not pass. Die. You sense something strange about this place. You can hardly make out your surroundings in the dim. You'd best watch your step. Order disciple stands in your way. Something strange about this one, too. This is as far as you will get. Fight. That was lucky. Unlike the lower level, the lights are lit. Someone's been here. Another Ivory Order disciple blocks your path. Trespassers will be disposed of. Let's do this. Yet another ivory impasse. How many of them are there in here? On the orders of Master Sherwin. It felt like that night wanted to stop you from going any further. Lucky. Nice work. Excellent. Good work. The sign reads, "There is more here than meets the eye." Why not check the wall? Would you look at that? A secret passage. This must be what that sign was talking about. Secret passage. This is definitely what that sign was hinting at. Be sure to keep an eye out in case there are more. You see a disciple of the Ivory Order shouldering a bag of medicine bottles. Would you like to buy some salves for your journey? She asks. You ask her to show you her wares. She lines up several medicines before you. Pray take care of yourselves, she says as she continues on her way. Another secret passage. How many of these things are there? Yet another secret passage. I've lost count of how many you've found, but hopefully this is the last of them. You sense an extraordinary presence ahead. You'd best not proceed unprepared. You sense an immense power enshrouding the whole of this floor. The Ivory Order trio lies collapsed at Sherwin's feet. Sherwin glances your way as he notices your presence. You again. What are you after? You ask him. This is the heart of the mausoleum, where the Order kept the dragon prisoner and harvested dragon tear. The Order perfected a technique to distill medicine from the preternatural magic imbued in dragon tear. So you were right in thinking you could find Mars' cure here. Sherwin pays you no mind, continuing. How I detested that medicine. It took my parents from me. You struggled to conceal your shock that you and Sherwin suffered the same tragedy. Nursing his grudge, he infiltrated the Order so that he could destroy it from the inside out. After being elevated to the Order's highest echelons, he learned that the dragon was the source of the medicine. Ever since, he had been awaiting his chance to kill the dragon. He finally got it atop the volcano. Now all that's left is to destroy this forsaken place, and the realm will be restored to how it was before the medicine, to how it ought to be. Sherwin stands before the altar and begins mumbling an incantation. It looks like he's gearing up to perform some sort of rite. The mausoleum will be destroyed if you don't stop Sherwin. And if that happens, you'll never get your hands on any dragon tear. Prepare yourself. The Ivory Order trio are still alive, but don't have the strength to get up. You attempt to stop Sherwin's right. But the fallen Ivory Order trio totter to their feet. Master Sherwin, says Winifred, unable to quell her trembling. Why? You used us, growls Berwin, narrowing his eyes at Sherwin. Your actions betray everything the Order stands for, spits Hedwin. Sherwin does not dispute the accusations. On the contrary, he confirms them. Everything I've done, including using you, is to purge this world of that medicine. Sherwin returns his concentration to the right. You race toward Sherwin to stop the right, but then Winifred blocks your way. Winifred puts out her arm. You're not strong enough to stop him. He's one of the strongest among the Ivory Order's ranks, she says. Still, says Melanie, batting Winifred's hand out of the way, we have to do something. Let us help. Sherwin pivots to face you, snarling. I will crush any who dare stand in my way. Sherwin attacks. It'll take more than numbers to win. Luck is on your side today. Sherwin, bloodied and beaten, lies sprawled across the ground. Give up already, you say? Then, from the folds of his cloak, Sherwin withdraws a vial of dragon tear. So it has come to this, he murmurs, before gulping it down. Sherwin's body begins morphing into something grotesque. You hear a voice echoing in your head. A lifeless world, a deathless world. This fetid plane will be purged so that it gleams pure white once more. I, the Owisiswin, will make sure of it. Winifred and the others combine their magic for an all-powerful strike. The brunt of the blow renders the Owisiswin motionless. But in your head echoes a familiar voice. There is no denying me. This world will fall, as will you. The Owisiswin stirs, stretching his humongous wings. Their power depleted, Winifred and company retreat from the ford. The Oishus wind screeches a bloodthirsty shriek as he bears down on you once again. cleansed by my power. The Oishus Wind's power inhibits your actions. The Oishus Wind gathers his immense strength. You have to do something. But the Oishus Wind's power binds you. Struggling against his power, Melanie recalls Vince's final words. Your spell can make this world a better place. Through everything, realization strikes her. The only way out of this is to use forbidden magic. I offer myself, body and soul, as payment. Melanie recites the spell, then turns to you. I'm sorry, she says, her voice faint. You'll have to finish what you started without me. Melanie's powerful magic has bound the Oishus Wind. That same power, though, has also bound her. Her power drained from casting the spell, Melanie collapses to the ground. Her spell breaks the power binding you. You can move freely again and feel your strength return. The spell has bound the Oishus Wind. Now's your chance to end this. Give it all you got. You defeated the Oishus Wind. Sherwin, returned to his human form, seems not long for this world. You rush to Melanie's side. The moment you reach her, you notice something strange. Melanie's transformed into a monster. Just then, Winifred and the others return from their search of the area. It seems the emergency stores of dragon tear kept in the altar were all dashed upon the ground during your battle with Sherwin. Despair buckles your knees. you've lost Melanie and any hope of changing Mar back. Winifred slips something into your hand. You hold it up and see the empty vial of dragon tear that Sherwin drank. But if you squint, you can make out one last drop in the bottom. You got a vial of dragon tear from Winifred. The world, cut off from its supply of medicine with the dragon's death. Your twin, for whom you have searched high and low for some way of restoring her human form. And Melanie, transformed into a monster and lying prone before your very eyes. You must decide for which purpose to put the all-powerful dragon tear. As though you were trying to cling to something, you offer up every supplication to the dragon tear. And then... the dragon tear's light overwhelms you. You feel your consciousness start to slip away. Where's that voice coming from? Wake up, screams Riddis, shaking you ungently. Your eyes peel open, and you glance around. You're alive, says Melanie through flowing tears. You let go of a heavy sigh of relief to see she's human again. Bruno says you collapsed after the dragon tears started shining with fierce light, and that you've been unconscious ever since. That's when you realize Mar is nowhere to be seen. You wrap Mar, returned to human, in your firm embrace. Thus your journey drew to its conclusion. As for the story afterward, you return to Advent Castle and make your report of the events to Queen Nilla. She rewards you handsomely for telling her the truth about the dragon, but it's barely enough to cover the cost of repairs to Riddis's home. Bruno returns to the coastal village he calls home, still squabbling with Oreo. The dragon agrees to continue providing dragon tear for the kingdom, so long as he can live the rest of his life in peace and quiet. Queen Nilla denounces the Ivory Order for their cruelty and seizes control of medicinal production. She does all she can to ensure a more ethical manufacturing process. Winifred, Hedwyn, and Berwyn leave the Ivory Order, establishing a new organization to help the needy. And what of you, Mar and Melanie? Queen Nilla asks you to serve in her court, but that's not really something the three of you are cut out for. You decline to set off for new adventures. And to this day, the incessant bickering of the bounty-hunting twins and the Black Witch can be heard in various far-flung corners the world over. This is a story of long, long ago and long, long from now.
And with this treaty have founded the walls, felt its beauty or quench the war. It knows to her more this only hand to
Thank you for playing. Did you enjoy your adventure? Good to hear. That means I succeeded as your game master. Now then, this is the end of your long journey, which means you and I must regrettably part ways. I hope we meet again in the world of Voice of Cards. It's been a pleasure.